I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Two big stories we're talking about tonight. That first one, though, in Tennessee. And I want to take you back. A couple of years ago here on Court TV, we had a trial involving a young woman named Skylar Richardson. You may remember this one, out of Ohio. She hid her pregnancy. As a matter of fact, in the picture you're looking at, she's pregnant. She was young, she was in high school, that's a prom picture. Didn't tell her mom, didn't tell anyone that she was carrying a child. And then she gave birth to that child in her home, didn't tell anyone. Now, she was accused of murdering that child after it was born. She buried that child in the backyard of her home, and again, didn't tell anyone. Eventually, during the course of the trial, there were allegations by prosecutors that she burned the child alive. But then when we watched the trial, we heard from the experts that that didn't happen. We also saw a coerced false confession on video that was shown to the jury. And at the end of the day, Skylar Richardson, in a case where she's accused of murdering her newborn, was found not guilty. Really one of the most shocking moments since the relaunch of this network, watching that moment in the courtroom when the jury said not guilty. Now tonight, we're talking about another young woman, not as young, she was 26, didn't hide one child that she was carrying twins, hid a double pregnancy. I mean, carrying two little boys, and apparently didn't tell anyone, and I don't know if anyone knew. Now, those two children didn't live long. They were found dead in laundry baskets. She was charged with murder. She went to trial. She was convicted, a convicted double murderer, sentenced to a minimum of 51 years in prison. That was it. Game over. You're not getting out. But now she's been set free. Her conviction overturned. She's out on bond, so she will stand trial again. This is an incredibly jaw-dropping decision and ruling. You don't see this happen too often. That a double murderer, oh, no, we're overturning this conviction after 9 years. You're getting a new trial and you're getting released on bond. Nick Barris, fantastic reporter from WTVF, our affiliate in Nashville, has the story tonight.
Paper transcript.
It came to a head last week when Lowe's attorney, Kimberly Hoddy, shocked the court. She first showed a questionnaire taken under oath by Juror 17 asking if she had formed an opinion about Lowe. Her answer? That Lowe lied and killed her two newborns. Later, during jury selection, also under oath, Juror 17 was questioned by both the DA and the judge. She again was asked if she had an opinion if Lowe is guilty or not guilty. This time, her answer was no.
You're saying here, and I understand that she lied under oath. Is that what you're saying? That's what you're alleging, and that's what the proof is?
I believe that's what the proof is.
The judge agreed, and in a stunning decision has granted Lowe a new trial, writing, Juror 17 was untruthful and possibly lied outright about her preconceived opinion. The possibility of prejudice cannot be ignored, especially when Lowe is serving 2 life sentences.
The order is suggesting that the court is granting a new trial for her based upon the constitutional concerns that the court has about the juror not giving truthful answers and contaminating the process.
The DA now may appeal the judge's decision, but David Rabin, who is assisting Hoddy on the case, says
the judge's decision was on fundamental legal grounds.
Evidence of bias went beyond just the untruthful statement. A fellow juror says number 17 had a bias against Lowe from the beginning, and Lowe's father, Mark, was among those in the courtroom who say the woman reacted when she realized she made the jury.
She goes, yes, and then looks around just a little bit with her eyes, wondering if anybody saw her.
You can't have a lying juror who has a preconceived opinion about the case on the jury. I mean, you just can't do that. I mean, we've watched jury selection here on Court TV. That's a big no-no. And we've seen it in some other cases. Scott Peterson trying to get a new trial on a similar basis. There was also a little problem with the attorney who represented Lindsay Lowe at trial. But let me bring in, from Nashville, Tennessee tonight, fantastic reporter with our affiliate WTVS, Nick Barris is with us. Nick, I wanted to start here and let you know that everyone here at Court TV, very excited to see you. We've been watching your work for years and appreciate your time today. I know it's a long day for you. How shocking is all of this?
Absolutely stunning. Like you, I've covered trials. This is stunning that it came down and the way it came down. And frankly, the judge had no choice.
So tell us a little bit about Lindsay Lowe for people who don't know the backstory and the original charges, everything that happened. Where was she in life? What was she doing? And did she actually hide the pregnancy of twins?
Yeah, you kind of covered it at the beginning there a bit. And essentially, this is a girl who, a woman, came from a good Christian family here in Hendersonville. She was engaged to get married. She ended up having an affair and became pregnant. And the question was, all right, did she know she was pregnant? I think for a period of time, there was testimony that she denied it, didn't want to believe it, but she kept it secret from everyone, didn't want her fiance to know. A lot of people around her, how could you not tell? She was a larger woman. They just attributed it to weight gain. And then it was in 2011 when she gave birth in September. She was at home. She went into a bathroom, and it was graphic testimony, but she was on the toilet, and the twin baby boys, infants, fell from her. And at that point, she didn't want her testimony, her parents, to hear the babies cry, so she put her hand over their mouth. Under questioning by investigators, there was a confession that the defense has argued was coerced, but a confession that she suffocated the children to death. And there was testimony from the medical examiner that the children were born alive.
It's twins. I've never heard of a situation like this. The father of the twins, what did he have any role in her life? Was it just a one-time affair?
Sure.
Did he know about the kids?
No, he did. He actually did not know he was the father. And in fact, I'm the only reporter who ended up interviewing him. He did not know. He was called as a witness, but did not find out he was the father of these twins from basically what was a kind of a one-night affair until he was in court testifying. And I vividly remember him learning this, becoming very upset, and storming out of the courtroom.
Unbelievable moment. So there was also a problem with her attorney at the trial, and I think the judge spoke about that as well. So describe for us, because our viewers watch trials day in and day out, what did the trial, the lawyer at trial, what didn't the attorney do? And what were the mistakes that were made?
An awful lot, Vinny. Okay, that's John Pellegrin you see there, a very fine, well-known attorney from a family of lawyers, considered one of the best in Middle Tennessee, and was hired by the Lowe family. There was testimony that more than $250,000 was spent on this legal defense to make sure they had all the witnesses, experts to be called, and for whatever reason. And Pellegrin was in court last week. Some would say he fell on the sword admitting that he didn't call an OBGYN, okay, to testify at trial, okay? You would think an OBGYN would testify about what effect giving birth like this alone would have on a woman's mental state. There were several experts that should have been called that were not called. And really, this whole appeal that ultimately has led to Lindsay Lowe being released right now started with an ineffective counsel argument. They were going there. But then what's amazing is they were doing their research on this, and literally during this last week, they hit upon the juror issue, which trumped everything else.
That takes it to another level, takes it to an absolute another level. So, Lindsay Lowe, has she demonstrated any remorse? Has she been emotional in the courtroom? How would you describe the way she has, presented herself?
At the trial, 9 years ago, she was a basket case, crying a lot. Now, the crying and why she was crying behind that, I never had a chance to interview her. No one did. She ended up not testifying because emotionally she said she couldn't do it. She did testify now this past week, and there wasn't a lot of emotion there. She's 9 years behind bars, and she testified. There she is. And I can't say what she feels, if she feels remorse or if there's emotion or regret that she's shown openly, but not in open court. Most recently, during the original trial, she certainly was very emotional, was crying throughout much of the trial.
Let's take a listen to just a little bit of her testimony from the hearing that we have. Let's take a look.
Ms. Lowe, did you believe or assume that Mr. Pellegrin was well prepared for trial?
I did.
Did you think that he was making sure that his witnesses were prepared for trial?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you since learned that Drs. Auble and Kenner drafted their own direct examinations because they were concerned that Mr. Pellegrin had not prepared them for trial?
I have learned that.
Did you, in fact, hear Dr. Auble and Dr. Kenner both testify to that earlier in this hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
And I realize you're not a lawyer, but you're now a seasoned member of the criminal justice system at this point. Is that concerning to you?
Absolutely.
So what's next? What is the schedule here? Is this thing back on track for a trial, or prosecutors going to try her again?
You know, we don't know for sure yet. We haven't heard yet from the DA whether or not he is going to appeal the decision by the judge. If he does, frankly, he's going to lose. This is going to move forward, and there will be a new trial, my guess, scheduled for sometime next year. But frankly, I think there's a very good possibility between now and then, 9 years has passed. It will not surprise me at all if some kind of deal is worked out.
Nick Barris, so great to have you on tonight. Really appreciate it. Have a great night, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Good to be on.
All right, folks, we're going to have more testimony from Lindsay Lowe. We're going to bring in our body language expert as well to take a listen and a look at what she's saying. All that straight ahead. Don't go anywhere.
Given the failure to use all the peremptory challenges, and given the review of the jury questionnaire and what you observed in Ms. Stevens' responses, how do you feel about the decision to leave Ms. Stevens on the jury?
It was disappointing when I found out because she had already presumed that I was guilty before the trial even began.
Did you see also that she had made a credibility decision about whether you were a truthful or untruthful person?
Yeah, she said I lied.
Did you see that she made a decision that you had killed your 2 babies? You think that Ms. Stevens was a good juror to have seated on your jury?
No, ma'am.
It was a holiday parade that quickly turned tragic.
Evil has arrived, and it's shown what it can do.
Darrell Brooks is accused of killing 6 people when he drove his vehicle through a crowd of spectators.
In a surprising move, Brooks waived his right to an attorney and instead will be representing himself.
Our cameras will be inside the courtroom as a community searches for justice.
The Deadly Parade Crash Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 9/8 Central. Only on Court TV.
We'll be right back.
Sitting here today, would you say that you are a different person than you were between the 2011 and 2013 window of time that your case was pending for trial in Sumner County?
I do feel like I am a lot stronger. I'm not as passive as I was then.
And in fairness, you're 10 years older, correct?
Correct.
A lot.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress, but I'm getting there.
And you're
That's Lindsay Lowe. She should be smiling. Unbelievable, her double murder conviction overturned. The victims, newborn twins, when she was 26. She testified at her hearing. The conviction was overturned. She's out on bond tonight, folks. Let me bring in our experts because I want to take more of a look at her testimony and her body language. Joining us tonight in Fayetteville, North Carolina, body language expert, senior instructor at the Body Language Institute, and author of I can see what your body is saying. Rodney Smith is with us. And in Los Angeles, California, body language expert, forensic psychiatrist, and columnist of Inside the Criminal Mind, Dr. Carol Lieberman. Great to see you both. Unbelievable story, but she did testify, didn't testify at her trial 10 years ago. But what I want to do is play some of her testimony for you, and then give me your take on you know, what you see, what you hear from her. So here's Lindsay Lowe on the stand talking about her defense attorney.
In the days following your arrest, did you rely on your family to make important decisions for you, such as choosing a lawyer for you?
Yes, I did.
And who was the lawyer that they chose for you?
John Pellegrin.
Do you remember your first meeting with Mr. Pellegrin?
I do, vaguely. He came to the jail really late at night and just told me that he was going to be my attorney.
And to be clear, did you like Mr. Pellegrin?
I did.
And do you still like Mr. Pellegrin?
I do.
Did you trust Mr. Pellegrin?
Yes, I did.
And did you rely on his advice?
Yes, I did.
Did you accept and follow the advice that he gave you?
I did.
Did you have any reason to question his judgment?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever push back or disagree with him on any topic?
No, I deferred to him.
How frequently would your family members accompany you to meetings with Mr. Pellegrin?
Every time.
And during those meetings, was the conversation typically directed towards you or towards your family or towards all of you?
More towards my family, I felt like.
And can you describe for us what that felt like and what those meetings felt like to you?
Just like I didn't have a voice. I just kind of felt like a child at that time. They were just talking around me.
And did you understand kind of why people were doing that around you?
I mean, I'm sure it was to protect me.
Did you feel like you were a decision maker in your own defense?
No.
All right, I'm not the expert, but we got a nice close shot of her face for you guys. Rodney, what did you see from Lindsay Lowe there as she's talking about you know, her relationship and things about her attorney at her original trial?
Well, so as we watch the video, we see one of the first things is a lot of lip licking, which oftentimes can be indicative of the body drying out, the autonomic nervous system kind of taking over almost in that fight or flight mode, or that can actually happen in sometimes levels of high stress. This could be a very uncomfortable circumstance or situation for her to actually talk about during this time. Aside from that, we see a couple of times the look of contempt on her left cheek, almost a look of contempt with a little bit of sadness when certain things were asked. Did she feel like she had a voice, or when did the conversation seem more about her or about her family or about all of them? We see just a slight asymmetric pull on the left side of her cheek, where it just kind of slightly pulls ever so slightly to the left, which is showing some form of disdain or maybe like a lack of respect in that manner, and then followed by that brief downward pull of the lips of showing some type of sadness, maybe in the respect that I did not clearly have a voice in some of this circumstance. And maybe she's truly not happy with the way the circumstances, obviously, because she ended up, I believe it was 51 years.
Yeah. Dr. Carol Lieberman, I want you to take a look and a listen at another piece of her testimony. Here she is recalling, or not recalling, what she remembers about the trial itself.
I mean, I remember that I was at trial. I knew I was at trial. I remember being in the courtroom. But as far as just what the witnesses were saying, I mean, it's just a blur. When I read the transcript, it was, I was really experiencing it for the first time.
Now, Ms. Lowe, there was a moment in the trial where the court in doing its due diligence, conducted something called a moment hearing with you, where the court has to explore whether or not you will be testifying, and if you're not testifying, whether you understand your right to testify, and whether you're making that choice for yourself. Do you recall what I'm talking about? Did you read that in the trial transcript?
I did read that in the transcripts.
And so it wasn't in the presence of the jury, but the court engaged in that kind of dialogue with you during the trial.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound right to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an independent recollection, not from the transcript, but from your own mind, of those events, of testifying in that moment hearing?
I do not.
Those are some big moments to forget in your life. Dr. Carol Lieberman, what did you notice there? I think her video froze. I'm reading her body language, and it looked like your video froze there. Are you back with us, Dr. Lieberman?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now. Go ahead. What did you just, start from the beginning. Go ahead.
Okay. I said that it's possible that she dissociated during the trial, because it was such a stressful situation. But what I got out of it primarily was that she liked her attorney, and this new attorney is putting her, understandably, but in a difficult position in terms of, of course, ineffective assistance of counsel. That has to be part of it. But you can tell that she's twisting her mouth and twisting her cheeks, and she's not happy about throwing her attorney under the bus.
That's fantastic. That's fascinating, because the lawyer came in and basically dove on the sword there, saying that he was ineffective and didn't do things that he was supposed to do, and he's a fabulous attorney. Let's take a listen to a little bit more of Lindsay Lowe's testimony here, talking about what she was doing during the trial, because she was seen taking a lot of notes during the course of the case. Let's see what she remembers.
Do you recall independently from your own recollection?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall independently writing notes or making notes on a notepad during the trial?
I don't remember doing that.
Have you since learned that you were writing on a notepad during the trial?
Yes, I have.
Have you since learned what kinds of things you were writing on the notepad during the trial?
It's Bible verses and math problems.
Not making notes about what witnesses were saying?
No, ma'am.
Were you paying attention to what was happening during the trial?
I don't believe so. I don't remember.
All right, Rodney, what'd you pick up there?
So the circumstances that she's under right now, one good thing is she's actually answering. There's not a lot of delay. There's not a lot of need to think of the answer as to what she wants to say. We do notice, just very briefly, there is just a little bit of swaying in the chair. She's actually trying to recall and do some focusing. She actually moves her head. I believe it was to the right in the video, where she's actually trying to gather her thoughts to make sure, as in the clip right there, she actually looks up. Once again, we do see a little bit of the twisting of the mouth, a little bit of the lip licking and swallowing. This is a stressful and tenseful situation for her, because she's got a lot riding on the line right now. So I think ultimately, she's somewhat in a bit of a fight or flight, almost that it's just an intense, stressful situation, because she's being forced or almost asked to recall information, as the doctor said, that there's probably been some disassociation with, and it's hard for her to really recall something from, I believe this was 11 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was 10 years ago was the trial, 11,
yeah. So she's referring basically to the documentation that she's read, and more so not off of memory.